In this video, I'm going to show you how to get these glowing effects. Coming up after this. How's it going on, guys and girls? Welcome back to Burnt Aquila Painting. My name's Graham and welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a simple yet effective glow effect for your plasma guns, your flames, eye lenses, anything that gives off a small amount of soft light. This video is actually a suggestion from one of my Patreons, Stephen Young, so thanks very much, bud. Thanks for your support, and this one's for you, bro. On that note, I just want to say thank you to everyone that has subscribed to the channel, and a massive high five to all of my patrons. You're all awesome. All your likes and your subscriptions and your support on Patreon goes so far to help make this channel grow and spread the word. So thanks very much, guys. And if you're not subscribed and this video looks like something you would enjoy, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content and goodness at Burnt Aquila Painting. It just helps to let the algorithm know that, yeah, this is something you're into, and helps the channel grow.
My good sir, get back to the topic.
Okay, as I said, this video is all about how to paint glowing effects on your miniatures. Now, this isn't a deep dive into OSL or directional lighting, even though we might be touching on the basics of those subjects. We are just looking at the basics on how to get a great looking glow on your minis. So I'm going to be using this Space Marine Captain that I've been painting, and we're going to be painting his plasma gun with a nice green glow. I think it's important when you're doing these little spot colors on your miniatures to choose something that contrasts with the rest of your miniature. Just makes it to pop a little bit more. So if your miniature is a Blood Angel, for instance, which is a lot of red, maybe use something like a green so it contrasts with your main body of color. That way it can draw the eye to the miniature and to those spot colors, those little highlights of detail. To do this, we need to establish where the light is actually coming from, and on this is the plasma coils on the gun itself. This area is going to be our brightest point, so we're going to be using our lightest colors, as it's going to be emitting the brightest light. For example, think of it as a light bulb. The actual bulb itself, when it's on, is super bright, so it's going to be closer to a white color. The further away you get from that center point, that light bulb, the less intense the light is. So what does that mean for us as painters? This means we can use darker hues of our chosen color the further away from the source of the light we get. So the first thing that we want is our area to be fully painted. So the gun needs to be fully painted before doing this effect. This is because in terms of the glow around the source of the light, we aren't using solid blocks of color. We're going to be using thin layers of paint to replicate that light. Now we have our plasma pistol fully painted, we're going to be working from the outside in. The reason for this is because we're trying to create a transition from green to yellow to, in our brightest spots, white. The first thing we want to do is lay down a base of where our glow is going to be, and for this I use an airbrush. Gently just marking out where I want that glow to fall. Whoa. Before you all crucify me in the comments for using an airbrush, I've got you covered, dudes. You can do the same effect with a normal brush in glazing or even dry brushing, so don't worry. I'm just using an airbrush because it's quicker, I get a smoother gradient, and I have one, so why wouldn't I? It's a tool to be used. For this, I'm using white ink instead of paint because it's easier through an airbrush, it's thinner, but also has a super high pigment still. Also, I'm using white because I'm painting on black, and I don't want those thin layers of paint we're going to be painting later to be lost in that black. Light would naturally shine out, so having that layer of white as a base is a great way to get that effect really quickly. You'll see later. Also, I want to add that this is the only step I'm going to be using my airbrush for. The rest is going to be all hairy stick from then on in. The thing is here, you want the end of every brush stroke to finish towards your light source you're painting. The reason for this is because when you lift the brush off the mini, it'll leave a little blob of paint, so that can ruin the smooth transition we're trying to achieve for this effect. Also, this is a good tip just to keep in mind whenever you're painting with a brush. Now I take my white and I block in the area that I've chosen to be our main light source.
Cool, dude. It's super bright in here, bro.
Once I'm happy with the general positioning of the glow effect around the main source of the light, I go back in with a super thin black and just line in some of the recesses and some of the shadowed areas that I hit with the airbrush. While doing this, it's a really good idea to keep in mind that light only travels in straight lines. So if you have any bolts or recesses that a straight line wouldn't hit, chances are it would not be hit by the light or of the glow effect. Now we add our color, and we want to work from the outside in, starting with our glow. Why? Because if we were to work inside out, you would run the risk of ruining your finished plasma coils while doing the glow effect that we're doing now. So let's start from the outside in, and you can cover up your mistakes as you go. As I said earlier in the video, we're going to be working from darkest to lightest, getting closer to the source of the light. So I'm going to start with a medium green, in this case flat green from Vallejo model color. I'm going to be using a glazing technique to slowly build up that tone, getting stronger towards the light. I'm not going to go into the finer points on glazing in this video, but I do have a glazing video on my channel, so if you do want to check it out, I'll put it up in the cards. Don't worry, I'll wait. Ah, you're back. Even after a few passes, you can really start to see that white base help brighten the glowing area. Next, I take my favourite mix of Flash Gitz Yellow and Warboss Green and just start to add that to the plasma coils. Remember, I'm using a lighter colour here because we are painting closer to the light source. We want to get lighter as we get closer. Once that's dry, I take a pure yellow and use the side of the brush similar to an edge highlight motion and paint the individual coils. Be careful at this point because you don't want to ruin your hard work getting that nice glow effect you've already established. It is okay if you get a little bit on the edges of the gun casing because we're going to be going back with similar colour and the edge highlighting there anyway. Like I said earlier, we're going to be covering up the mistakes we make as we go. Speaking of which, once we've got those plasma coils done, we can move straight on to fixing any of the little brushes up against the gun casings with a yellow green. We want this to be thinner than a layer paint but not quite a glaze. This will help blend the transition between the medium green and the yellow on the plasma coils. If you don't feel very confident in getting that right consistency, don't worry. The best thing I can suggest is to go to a miniature that's primed or a bit of sprue that you have that's primed that you practice on and just go over it with a couple of different consistencies, find out which one you like and what works best, and then go for the real thing. Now we have done that pre-highlight. Next we add a little bit of yellow to the yellow green, and then we do an edge highlight on the edge of the gun casings where it meets the plasma coils. This is where the light hits that sharp edge and creates a high contrast point, just like in real life. This is why we do a edge highlight in these areas. Finally, I like to add a little bit of pure white just on the corners of the plasma coils. It just gives it a little bit more pop. And that's it. That is how I paint simple glow and lighting effects on my minis. This way of painting can be really simple when you break it down and can be applied in loads of different ways, like the underside of the plasma gun we've just painted. All I did here is flip where the point of light is coming from. So in the recesses it's the lightest and on the outsides it's darker. That can give you a different effect using the same principles I've just used. Well, that's it from me, guys and girls. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video, and thank you for everyone that is subscribed to the channel. Also, thanks to Stephen for giving me this video idea and the rest of the patrons. You guys are awesome. If you want to become a patron and support this channel, you can for as little as £2 a month, where it helps me to get the supplies and bits and bobs that I need to make this video, like paints, brushes, and of course coffee. Link to my Patreon is in the description. If you've enjoyed the video, guys, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps to spread the word about what I'm doing here at Burning Corner Painting. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
Cool, man. It's super bright, bro.
It's bright in here, bro.